The grief of like a romantic breakup is hard. The grief of a friend breakup, that grief for me, and I think for many people, is unlike any other grief.
Totally. Hello and welcome to Ex Best Friend. I'm your host, Dominique Marie. And who are we having with us today?
Anjelica Rose.
Thank you so much for being here, Anjelica Rose. Welcome. We're happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
So we have reached out to you prior to filming today and asked that you can maybe wear something inspired by childhood or just something that you have fond memories of. Can we get a little rundown of your outfit and why you chose this one for Ex Best Friends?
Of course. Well, first of all, I loved being asked that because I think clothing is so connected to like space and time. And I loved thinking about what I was gonna wear. So I was thinking about that. This was something I found as a teenager, this caftan. So this has seen me through like the end of my teen years into my 20s, which is still kind of childhood because your brain's not developed yet, through now. And it's still my style because I feel like I have a very distinct, flowery, flowy sense of style.
You totally do.
So it was something that I felt kind of like integrated and pulled together, like young me and current me. And then special shout out to the jelly shoes.
Jelly and her jelly shoes.
Jelly and her jelly shoes, because I had been wanting a pair as an adult for so long because I had them as a kid, as we did.
They're so cute.
And
With
then,
the lace socks too.
socks. And then you maybe know the story behind this, but this was a pendant given to me by my grandma when I was a little girl, probably around 8, and my cousins got them in different colors. And I recently put it on a new chain and have been wearing it. So I have a very special piece of me and grandma from childhood.
A fun fact that I don't even know if you know, but you are the one who introduced me to florals when it comes to wardrobe.
Wait, I did know
I had
that.
never in my life chosen them. Like I had stuff I think with florals on it, but it was always something someone had bought me and I never gravitated towards them. And then you gave me a floral onesie, I think junior year of high school. And it was my first thing I owned that was floral that I like loved. And I wore that onesie to the ground. That thing had holes. It was worn like so much. I loved it so much. And I would have never thought about wearing
I remember which one. Oh my
the
god.
light green one with like the rosy pattern. Yes. So if you're picking up a little history here, you are correct. This is my best friend, Anjelica Rose. We have known each other.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, we're coming up on 20 years now. Best friends for about that long. To nobody's surprise, we met in high school theater. And I am honored to have her as a guest on Ex Best Friend. Thank you so much again for being here. We love the fit. Thank you so much for putting the thought into it and giving it the love
Always.
that you felt it deserved. We are so thankful. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to kind of start to dip our toes.
Mm-hmm.
Your ex best friend, M.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with, when did you meet them?
I met them when I was living in Portland in my early 20s.
20s. About a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Portland, early 20s.
A little more than a decade ago, yeah.
About a decade, roughly a decade.
Yes.
You're in Portland, early 20s, arguably the most impactful time of your life, early 20s. You meet M.
Mm-hmm.
How did you meet M?
We met during our interview for a little store called and we were both hired. And that day we interviewed, asked me if I wanted to grab a taco afterwards.
Tammy's had this time.
Yes.
What better way to spark anything than with a taco?
Mm-hmm.
Smart move on their part.
Mm-hmm. Worked on me.
As it so often does. What was hanging out with them like?
I think we had a lot of common interests. We're both like fine arts backgrounds. We both had different forms of art that we really loved to do. And we found a lot of common ground through that. We loved nature, hiking, just being outside. We both would like soak up all the trees and the nature in Portland. We were about the same age. I think Em was a year younger, but I think there was just commonality there. And we were both very into like fashion and vintage, which is probably why we met at the interview.
Fair, fair.
So I feel like, yeah, definitely common interests was a big factor.
Well, that's
Also, I think a really big one is like when you're suffering at the same job, which we don't talk about enough. The love that is formed and the friendships that are born through suffering at the same workspace.
I mean, this is a deep foreshadowing because who knows when the story will be told. But my ex best friend was also a coworker.
Mhm.
It's how the whole thing started.
Get a little trauma bonding in there in the beginning.
Ain't that the truth? Okay. We're here. We've set the stage. We're in Portland, young 20s. You and him, you just got hired. You went out for a taco. You're doing hikes. You're thrifty, having coffee, just enjoying.
Lived near each other,
Oh,
too, I should say that. So
course.
when you're in a similar neighborhood,
Taking little walks together. Sounds beautiful. Sounds magical. Sounds happy until it wasn't. So, how long into this friendship with M did you start to notice something's off? Something's not quite right.
I started to notice kind of early on, like because we were working together, I started to notice how M would treat people. Even like, I mean, you're supposed to have your customer service face on, but I would see M get kind of like mean, like unkind.
Red flag.
And it wasn't initially, Tails all this time, it was not initially directed towards me. It was directed towards people at work. It was directed towards people that maybe she would feel like pissed her off. So it wasn't directed towards me. But I think it was a little bit of an inkling for me and just the many ways I am and the many patterns I have that I would want to keep her happy and like keep her feeling appeased. So it wouldn't be directed at me. And I don't feel like I knew that in the moment. It came much later.
Wait, what do you mean womanhood is people pleasing? What are you talking
Right.
about? Even though you saw some of those signs early on, about how early on would you say, like pretty immediately because you start working together?
Yeah, within a couple months. Yeah.
Early red flags. So you see that behavior. How long does it take for you to personally, like on work related? It's does a spat happen or does a fight or a disagreement or argument, or is it all just kind of like walking on broken glass until the end?
Mm, well, just to give context, we were both, Em and I, only in Portland for like a year. So that year, it really wasn't directed towards me. And so we did go through that year and became closer. And then for different reasons, I moved back down to California, came to LA, and then Em moved abroad temporarily and then came back to LA, partially because wanted to experience LA, but partially because I was here.
Wow.
So there was that connection of like, okay, this person I miss that I'm still talking to every day, that I'm sharing memes with every day is moving here and we're going to be near each other. We're not going to live that far away. It's like the next stage of our friendship. And then pretty soon after that, I started to notice that when M would experience something hard with their mental health, or when M would not like something, or when M wanted something a certain way, there would be kind of like a lashing out. So speaking to me in really unkind ways or projecting things onto me. And I, at the time, was not as vocal at speaking up or understanding my boundaries at that age. And so I wouldn't necessarily be like, hey, this is hurting my feelings, or hey, I understand you're going through a hard time. I'm trying to help. You can't talk to me like that. I just took it.
Mm.
And at one point, M came to visit my parents' house for the holidays because didn't want to go home. And my mom made a comment to me that M was acting like a mean boyfriend to me, which, yeah, was
Shouts out Jill.
shout out Jill. Which for me, I understood like what my mom was saying, and I tend to revert back to like this person's going through something difficult. This person's having a hard time. How much does that play into it? And I think it's always important to think about that, but I don't think that like, it's also important to ask yourself, am I being respected? How am I being treated? How am I being spoken to?
It's the classic, like, is the reason an excuse?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
they're not excuses.
And I do have a history of domestic violence and interpersonal relationship violence in romantic relationships. So for me, I didn't it was similar the way it functioned, but I wasn't seeing the pattern at the time. Just a lot of mistreatment, even though, it doesn't necessarily have to be physical, but
Yeah.
like emotional mistreatment.
Well, and then it's like, I'm sure part of it too, not that it's purposeful, obviously, but because of the way you were used to it in previous romantic relationships that were like largely mostly with men, and then so this now being a friend and a woman,
Women.
it's another,
Mhm.
again, not excuse but reason to kind of justify like, well, it's not even that bad, and like
Mhm.
it would be different if a man was doing it, or it feels different
Yeah.
because she's doing it to me, or just like all these little reasons that also society, I think, pushes on us hard too, to be like, it's not even a big deal.
Yeah.
It's fine. When it's clearly not.
No, it was yeah, it was really toxic. It's kind of unhealthy behavior, and it's hard because there would be moments where M showed up with a lot of support for me. M was like, "Let's go do this together," like, wanted to have all these experiences together, travel together, do things, and there would be the other side of it where it felt like I was treated kindly, and I felt like when I could see M's moods shifting a lot, and for many reasons, mental health related reasons as well. But when I would see the mood shift, I would feel so pressured to respond in a way that was appeasing, that was taking things down a notch. I felt the personal responsibility, I put it on myself, that I had to keep their mood steady, which is also a big parallel to some of the romantic relationships I've been in.
It's horrible.
I mean, I can tell you like the catalyst that started, I think, the end of the friendship, which is we're both living here in LA. We decided to take a trip to Portland to see one of our friends who is still a very dear friend to me that still lives there. And before this trip happens, Em gets told something at work that she's been told at other workplaces, included, which is that she has a bad attitude and she's not treating people right. So Em is like really mad, really upset. And so we go to get on the plane. You can pick your own seats, and Em wants to sit together, obviously. But Em pushes past me, jumps in the window seat. I'm like, okay. Everyone wants a window seat. But I'm just like, okay, they're having a hard time. Like I could see it. So I tried to just be very gentle, and I'm a gentle person. So I tried to just be very gentle with them, and then when we land, I had something happen separate from M that was a whole family situation with my brother, and I ended up having to kind of like shut my phone off.
What timing?
Yeah, and so I emotionally that was the trip had a lot of up and downs, but I was going through something quite harrowing within my own family and within my feeling and sense of safety, while M was going through the aftermath of being told I have a bad attitude at work. So, probably, like, wasn't a trip set up for success, but seeing our friend was lovely, and, like, I tried my best to still take moments for myself and also just enjoy being with our friend. M seemed to need a lot of space, didn't wanna spend as much time with us. So, in the middle of this trip, my mom calls me to tell me that I got into graduate school.
Wow, what a
Really?
trip.
Yeah. I, like, had this really low dip because, of course, all this stuff is happening. She couldn't get a hold of me right away because I had my phone off because of everything, but I get this
You're fine.
notification, yeah, that, like, all this work I had put into this career path had, like, paid off, and so that was a really big deal, and so, yeah, that night we, like, watched a movie. I don't remember if Emma was a part of watching the movie, I don't think they were, but a couple of us, my friend and her partner at the time, we, like, turned on this movie, and it was kind of like our celebration,
Well,
and then we got to the end of the trip. It was a short trip, and we go to take the flight home, and, Emma's still having a hard time. I can tell Emma's still being distant, pushes past me to take the window seat again. And me now would have been like,
it's one per way. If it's a round trip,
yeah,
you did it once per
that
way.
for me represents a lot,
No, that's very telling.
that like,
It's how your friend treats the server at the
yeah, like
restaurant.
what
It's
is
everything.
that too? And would not always be nice to servers. So that wasn't really a sign as well. But yeah, it's like we're not being equitable. So we fly back, and then, well, pretty soon after this trip, we go
Can I
out.
really quick? Is
Yeah.
this when I picked y'all up from the airport?
Yeah. Okay. That's another actually really funny shout out to my mom moment, because there is a video of me filming you picking us up because you're so loving and you're so happy and you have this box of donuts. and you go to greet
Jelly
me.
loves donuts.
You love donuts. You go to greet me after this trip that should have been happy, but was actually quite hard. And in this video that I sent to my mom, she says, well, why does Dominique look so excited and M looks so mad to be there next to you? Because in the back of the video is just M looking pissed.
Can attest. It looked like I was in trouble for bringing you donuts.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Which was so confusing for me, but makes
Totally.
sense in the aftermath.
But you know what I immediately did, Angelica? The same fucking thing. Oh, she just flew. Flying's hard. It's tough on the
The
body.
excuse.
She's exhausted, maybe. Maybe something happened. Who knows? It's fine.
Yeah.
Some telltale sign.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
At this moment, returned from Portland,
Mhm.
how long had the friendship been with M?
Close to 4 years.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
healthy presidential term. That's that's a tense one.
Yeah.
It's a friendship.
That's a couple. And I will say, because I've lived so many lives, I'm not even thinking, but I did live for a period of time before LA, after Portland and Oakland. And Em and I did speak every day while I was living there for a year as well. So we did
Yeah, that's a friendship.
carry the friendship through different places, even though we were apart.
Yeah. And international too, when you said they left the country.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, I mean, you from outside looking in, that's a strong, healthy friendship to have been going on through all of this, because sometimes proximity is what some friendships just lie on, which is fine. Shout out to friends that are nearby. But I think it is a little bit of a step beyond when you can take it to continue togetherness, even when you're apart.
Yeah, even like the geographical differences. Go
Absolutely.
through that. Yeah.
4 years. And we have this trip that was seemingly pretty eye opening for you in the catalyst, like you said. But what actually brings us to our demise, not demise, what from airport day to how friendship unfolds to really to an end.
So about a couple weeks before my birthday, it'd always be like that.
I don't never just have a birthday.
No. You can never just have a normal birthday. So following this trip, what I think this trip was maybe like, I want to say it was like, maybe this happened like 2 months after the trip. And Em and I had been hanging out, and Em wanted to go to a bar in my neighborhood. So I met her there, and the bartender ended up serving me my drink first, even though I met her there and got there after her. And she got very upset. I had had that happen before, and I kind of tend to lock up and not know what to do, because part of me wants to apologize. And the other part of me is like, I'm not,
Nothing to apologize for.
I'm not the bartender making that decision. And I like waited for her to get her drink before I started mine, but I could tell
Way
she
nice of you.
was,
You did not have to do
I could
that.
tell she was upset. And again, those situations, I don't know, I always have a hard time knowing how to act when someone else is making a choice, but I'm on the receiving end of that choice that's affecting someone. I'm trying to remember like the nitty gritty details. I don't know if I brought up something where we had been hanging out with like a third person, or that like I wanted a friend to come by at some point, like for a future hangout. But I made a comment that I'd never made to M, which was, I feel like sometimes when we hang out, like you don't want other people around. And that was exactly how I made the comment, because I very much remember.
It takes a lot of courage to say
It
something
takes courage, but I think it was something in my head that I didn't think would be such a big deal. Like I genuinely just, it was something I had noticed that maybe like when other people were involved, like when you brought the donuts, maybe that was something that M didn't like, and I didn't really understand. So I will say it wasn't coming from a place of wanting to hurt or accuse. It was just like genuinely wanting to understand, because at this point in the friendship, there were things I started to feel like I wasn't understanding after we had that trip together. And so M's reaction was to start yelling at me in the middle
in
of
the
this
bar,
in the middle of this bar.
like a man.
You just called me a bitch. And she started yelling that at me over and over. And I was like, what is she talking about? Like, first of all,
And that's projection if I ever heard it.
also, like me being the person I am,
Do you feel like a bitch?
I don't use that word in a derogatory way to describe women. I've never, that's something I
Actually, back in the day, I remember your bish.
yeah, that's just
The Bish days.
and it's like Bish is in a loving way.
Yeah.
And it's just that's not me. That's not how I frame the way I speak about women. So first of all, I'm like, I I like answer back. I'm like, I would never call you that. And that's not what I just said.
Words
And
of my mouth.
I think she just said something about like, but that's what you meant. And, I mean, again, like talking about projection, like,
Mm.
yes, I've said something that's upset someone and I understand that. And I'm very confused as to what's happening and what conversation we're having because I feel like we're having two different conversations.
Oh,
So,
you're so perceptive that way, actually, because
it would
that's not in this economy. But you're so perceptive in that way because that's clearly not the conversation you're trying to have with her. Those are not the words you said. So you could have very well just been like, "Oh, you're choosing to not listen to me right now." That's that. But you're still just being like so nice and accommodating and perceptive on top of it to be like, this is probably what they're taking it as, or this is probably
Yeah. I think in that moment, I was just trying to understand.
yeah.
So, like, she stops yelling. And at that point, just like walks out of the bar. So I go after her and I'm like, are you okay? Do you want to like talk about it? And she just is like, no, no. And I was like, okay. So we don't talk for, I don't know, a couple of days, maybe a week. And then I get a text from M when I'm at work. I'm nannying at this point because I'm going to be starting grad school soon. And so, I'm there holding this baby.
Carrying a child.
And I get a text about like, hi, just kind of like a hello. And I'm like, hi, like how's it going? And kind of just small talk for a minute. I don't know if M brings up like the how are you feeling like question, but M says like, I'm thinking about like our friendship and I'm thinking about like things you've said to me and it doesn't seem healthy. So like we shouldn't be friends. And there was this joke.
I didn't mean to laugh,
Yeah.
but that's barely a way to start a conversation. That's
Yeah.
that's a good way to start a fight.
It did.
I bet.
It started a fight. And there had been comments I had made, and M brings it up, that I had like made a joke, like that her and I were like codependent sometimes. And like, honestly, looking back now, there was codependency. So I guess it wasn't a joke.
Funny when it's true.
Yeah. And I would say it in a way where I meant it to be silly. And M tells me in the text that that comment always like really upset her, which that is valid, but like this is the first I'm hearing about it. But I guess I hadn't brought up that M hurts my feelings a lot. So neither of us had really communicated certain things. But M tells me this was like what sent me over. M tells me that you ruined our Portland trip for me. That I'm the one who ruined the
I'm sorry, what?
well, how
The Portland trip that she didn't even hang out with you on?
the one where she was so mad and
That Portland trip?
that I ruined the trip. And
Oh.
that was my like lost it point. I went off. And this again, it's through text, which like isn't helpful, but I was just like,
So funny
you,
pinpoint that.
yeah, I was like, you treated me so horribly, like whatever I even said, you treated me so horribly that whole trip. Like you ruined that for me. You made that so hard for me to try and make you happy the entire time. Like I just was like, you're not going to spend
You're like,
this
I
on
want to add
me.
another chore to my
Yeah.
completely full list of chores to do.
And then I think she responded with something along the lines of like, okay, well, if that's how you feel, then clearly we should like shouldn't be friends. And I was just like, okay, fine, we're not friends. And that was the breakup. But again, like,
Can we really quick talk about a plot twist because so not expecting her to be the one to pull it out of left field when nothing had ever been acknowledged prior to that.
yeah,
I'm not gonna make assumptions about people, but I wonder what it would look like if a person had never really had conflict resolution
oh yeah, no
in their lives.
resolution skills
Ever.
ever modeled or learned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, we have a psychology expert over here being like, okay, defense mechanisms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I just would I feel like if we would have had the viewers vote and guess who initiated the ending, I would thank you because of like kind of how horrible you were being treated.
right.
Oh, yeah. At the same time, too, blessings in disguise kind of thing, because who knows how much longer it would have just led on. So do you remember, like, because you said it's a couple weeks after the point now, so you're nannying, you're with kids, you can barely have your mind occupied on anything else other than kids anyway.
Yeah.
You're having this text conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. And you said that was basically like that's the end of communication between y'all, or was there anything that happened after that?
I mean, that was the end of it. And
Never talked again
then a few weeks after
from
that,
texts.
well, a few weeks after that was my birthday, which was a very strange birthday because obviously this is like my main friend. I'm still getting used to LA. Breakup's fresh. I had like partially solo birthday because I just, you know, it's painful to like.
I
be
think
in
I
a
was
new
living on the other
city.
side of the country at
You
this time. Just want to say, disclaimer, I don't think I lived
you were
on the West
not
Coast.
on this coast, and so that was like definitely like a very lonely birthday for me. Like I feel a lot of emotion thinking about that. But we did run into each other once at a burger place and we made eye contact. And that was the last we ever saw of each other.
And how long ago was that?
That would have been a few months after the fight. So this would have been, I think this was the beginning of 2019.
Okay, so it's been over half a decade
Mm-hmm.
since the end. Wow. Let's lay it out here real quick. You meet M in Portland. You're both interviewing for this job. You get it. You work together. Similar interests. You're hanging out all the time. You both leave Portland. She goes out of the country. You move to a different city. You guys move to the same city again.
Mm-hmm.
Try to reconnect. It's heavy, basically. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot of fluidity, a lot of motion, all for it to kind of what sounds like very abruptly
Mm-hmm.
come to an end. And now here we are, 5+ years later.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would be the reality of you running into M today, or M reaching out to you today, or where does that sit in your mind now?
I actually had a dream about this a few weeks ago. Yeah. Dick dreams. Love them. I had a dream that reached out wanting to just be in contact again, and, like try and open that door. And I very kind of calmly in the dream was just like, not sure that's like something I'm into. I don't know if I ever came to the full conclusion, but I was able to kind of be like, I'm not sure and have that be okay.
Everyone needs to know, and I will always clarify, like, not sure is a valid answer.
Mm-hmm.
Just say neither yes or no is fair. You don't have to be so definitive. You don't have to know. And I think that's beautiful. In a little bit of a way, it leaves you open to just whatever life throws at you,
Yeah.
whatever doors are going to open for you, or whatever paths you'll take. That's really beautiful. I mean, it's a tiny little tangent, but this show initially is aimed at community. I want guests and audience alike to know that we all go through this, even though if it's not always talked about all the time, or maybe there's stigma around it sometimes. This is a tale as old as time. We all go through it. And so, in a weird way, it kind of is a thing that brings us closer together.
Yeah.
And hopefully, for a majority, helps us reflect and really bring ourselves to the now and like show up as the friend that we want to be and the friend we want to receive. So I think that's super important for you to already be knowing and mindful of possible habits that need breaking, or
I think too, like the grief of like a romantic breakup is hard. The grief of a friend breakup, that grief for me, and I think for many people, is unlike any other grief
totally.
because you're known so fully. Ideally, you're known so
Yeah.
fully by your friends in such a different way in so many different aspects. So that kind of breakup,
Let's just, well, comparatively, friend breakup to romantic partner breakup, part of you always expects it a little bit with a romantic. It's just like, not that you expect it, but the possibility is
the
there
risk is there.
way more
Yeah.
apparently. You have a boyfriend, you have a girlfriend, you have a partner, whatever it may be. Oh, they might break up. People say that all the time, but nobody ever thinks or anticipates friends splitting up.
Yeah.
And especially being in the friendship, you never expect, well, this person's my friend. They're not gonna like do anything bad to me. They're not gonna be mean to me. They're not gonna do these things. That's not what friends do. And it's such a weird little bubble that we kind of sit in and just kind of, I think, toggle around it because there is no like balance in it. I don't think there's just like the desire for balance. So you're always overshooting and going all over.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so universal, I feel.
It is. We're all occupying this kind of like third space in friendships, right? There's the friendship part, and then there's what you're saying, the balancing of it all.
Yeah.
Not having expectation like, well, this is going to end at any minute or this person's going to hurt me because I think for a lot of people, you go into a friendship, you form a friendship, they become one of your best friends. You think, okay, this is for life.
Absolutely. You
Like,
picture your life with this
yeah,
person.
we're gonna be turned and composted into trees next to each other in a little row. Like
Absolutely.
I think that's how a lot of us frame it.
I know.
I personally don't frame friendship as something temporary, even though I know it can be. And so that's also why like the
It makes
grief
it
of
hard.
us hits different.
Totally. It's it's like the hit feels more like a wallop. It's not even just
Yeah.
you're not being knocked down, you're being bulldozed over.
Yeah.
It's
Oof, feel that in my chest.
yeah. It's different. And it's different. So how does Angelica show up as a friend now?
I think I show up with more boundaries about what I feel comfortable with and what I don't feel comfortable with. And I've noticed that not even in like as dramatic a ways, but the friends I've had where there's something off about the friendship, they seem to kind of naturally come to an end. And the rest of my friendships, which is a really cool thing to say as like a 33-year-old, sometimes grown woman, is like I feel like I'm in the best place I've ever been in with the friendships I have because I feel like presence and value and love. And I feel like even when we have bad days with any of my friends, we're not at our best. We're so able to be like, I'm not at my best. This is how that's affecting me, or I'm not at my best, just letting like there's the disclaimer, which it doesn't even have to, but there's a disclaimer and it's not, no one's lashing out at me. I'm not walking on eggshells with anyone. And that's such a different place to be in than I was in like 10 years ago. Oh my God.
Ugh. And I mean, what does it feel like now to see that and notice that and be like me now compared to me 10 years ago? Like, how does that make you feel?
I feel a lot of grief.
Oh,
Yeah. Which isn't bad or good. It's just
well,
there's a lot of grief in recognizing things that you wish you hadn't had to experience or things that were painful. And also being like, okay, this is where I'm at now. Grief is emotional, but it's also very, very fluid.
very fluid. And also just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? There is no being done with it.
Mm-mm.
There is no, oh, I've gotten to this level. Now I'm here at grief because it's not. Like
No.
today you might be, and then next week you might be 50 steps back.
Yeah.
You just never know. But that's really beautiful, I think, to acknowledge. And because it's, I mean, not to speak for you, but as your best friend, you're not somebody who lets the grief of something now like negatively impact where you're at or your emotions. You're so good at honoring how you feel. And you're so good at like taking the second and taking the space. It's true.
That means the most coming from you.
No, I actually talk about this all the time with Chris. I think it's one of the most beautiful things about you is how quick you are to honor how you're feeling. And that's it. No explanations, no justifications, no prejudged anything. Just like it's just is what it is. It doesn't have to be bigger unless you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be shoved under a rug or anything like that. They just are and they exist, and how we feel is more than okay. It just is. And I think you're one of the best people at
Wow.
like living that and not just like you don't just talk about it, you are about it sort of thing. It's really beautiful to see.
It's been a lot of immense work to get there,
Totally.
but it's,
But I will say actually with what I've seen and the progression you've made, just the work you've done, you've also just always had. So I think it's just part of who you are in your spirit. You're so naturally,
fabric.
Mhm. You're so naturally in tune with yourself. And even if it's tough to like portray that, you can always see that like, you. Nobody could ever doubt that like you don't know yourself sort of thing.
Mhm.
Even when we're all struggling or even when we're going through this, that, and the third, and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't do these things, all this stuff. You still are very like firm in who you are. That's really beautiful.
Space.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
One of the last things I want to touch on here for anyone listening right now who is maybe currently going through a friend breakup or someone who's just recently gone through one, someone who is having this happen kind of fresh to them, is there anything you would offer or anything you can say about like being in it, being in the thick of it, and any kind of words of
Yeah,
comfort or anything?
I think and this can be uncomfortable sometimes, but to really center yourself and honor what you need,
Mm.
whether that's a hug, a cry, space, time, to really just honor that and to know that grief changes. I don't know if grief gets better, but grief changes form.
Mm,
It changes form, and there's ways we move through it versus when it first hits us, we feel like it's a wall.
yeah,
And so I think just knowing that, remembering that there's fluidity to these things.
totally. Well, what you just said too, I think is a really beautiful, like, kind of visual of like
Mhm.
when it first hits us, it's this wall, but when you go back again,
It's water after.
it's a little bit water now. It's now you're wading through it.
Mhm.
Now it's not so abrupt and like untackleable.
Mhm.
It's a little more accessible now. It's navigatable, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It's really great advice. And I think that's something really important to remember. If you are going through a friend breakup right now, center yourself, focus on you, take care of number one, allow yourself to feel it all. And ultimately, I think it's safe to say that you will be a better friend because of it.
Mhm.
The friendships to come require a version of you that is, we'll go with refined. What your future friendships require a version of you that is a little more refined now, having been polished by this weird sense of grief of this friend breakup. Multiple. I mean, we have a couple. I have a
Mhm.
couple. You have a
Mhm.
couple. They happen, and maybe the first one happens when you're in kindergarten, and there's a trio, and they have a sleepover without you. But it sometimes hurts just as bad as when you're 20 and
Yeah, of
like
course.
someone sleeps with your boyfriend or whatever it is. It's like they all matter. They all add up. They all
They're all valid.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So being who you are today, present day, what does friendship mean to you?
Everything, period.
The cornerstone.
The most important thing, like, in my life. It's love and it's motion and movement, and sometimes you'll have moments where you feel a little stuck or uncertain, but it's moving through it all
Mm.
and knowing that there's mutual presence and love and witnessing and being witnessed.
To be a witness.
And it's just my favorite part of being a
Such an
human.
honor.
Yeah, and being a human is so hard, but,
Being a
like,
human is arguably the hardest job in the world.
yeah, but my friendships make it worth it.
Softens it a bit.
Community is what softens everything.
If community ain't everything,
Mhm.
I don't know what is.
Mhm.
It's arguably the most important pillar of health. How do you survive? How do you live without it? You kind of can't. Ah, that's beautiful. Friendship is everything. It's everything. Friendship is everything.
Thing.
Be a good friend. Show up for your friends. Take care of yourself.
Mhm. Show up for your friends, show up for yourself.
Love that. You know what? I think this was a smash. Thank you so much for being here today. We were so happy and excited to have you on. This has honestly been a dream come true as your best friend to do this with you here today,
Same.
especially if there's anything that you would like to talk about or highlight or plug.
I think
Do
my plug is just support your community, especially your food vendors, your workers, everyone right now who needs a little bit of extra support and help and love and protection.
beautiful. It can't be said better than that. Support your community.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And this has been Ex Best Friend. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Thank you so much.